Do you know the Bible uses over 96 images to describe the church? These images give us an understanding of His church. In this episode, we are going to begin exploring some of these metaphors. Welcome to a podcast about disciple making in the public square, where we talk about everyday issues from a biblical and balanced perspective. This is where life exists. Welcome back to Where Life Exists, where we talk about everyday issues from a biblical and balanced perspective. My name is Dahadi Lewis, and I am the lead pastor of Blueprint Church and the vice president of the Sin Network. And today, we are jumping in to answer the question, what is the church? But instead of going to a systematic theology book or telling you what I think the answer is, we are going to use the Bible alone to answer this question. So let's get started. Welcome to my Boulevard. When Christians talk about the nature of the church, the discussion usually begins with what the church does instead of who the church is. We start with the activity of the church instead of her identity. We run to the preaching of the word, the taking of sacraments, and the practice of ordinances, which are all critical things, but those are simply activities the church does. Before understanding the actions of the church, we need to begin this study by addressing who the church is. So instead of pulling out all of our systematic theology books, let's call God to the stand and ask God to speak about the nature of His church. The first question we want to ask Him is, what is the church? You see, God uses numerous pictures to describe to us exactly what the church is, what it should be, and what He has given us through these metaphors are word pictures. There are descriptors for the common man to understand and to point him to what God would desire for His church to be. There are said to be 96 metaphors of the church, metaphors like family, army, bride of Christ, to name a few. Metaphors like these teach people the doctrine of the church in an understandable manner. Transferring these doctrines to others in the church is important because the way we introduce church to people has a lot to do with how they interpret the church in their lives. You see, these are not just metaphors. They are descriptors of how we are to see His church. The church is not like family, it is family, in which God is our Father, Jesus is our elder brother, and we are brothers and sisters in Christ. In Ephesians, we see this played out. In chapter 1, the essence of the church's identity is that of adopted children, where God is our Father, and God the Father chooses and adopts us. God the Son redeems us and unites us, and God the Spirit seals us. You see, throughout the New Testament, the word disciple is often in the Gospels. But once you get into the epistles, believers are not referred to as disciples. They are only referred as brothers and sisters. So as covenant members of your local church, be a family, operate as a family, not an orphanage. So as we begin, let's not talk from the vantage point of what the church does, but rather who the church is. Thanks so much for joining us today. Want to see more content like this? Check out our website, betheblueprint.net, and we will see you back next week as we tackle more issues from a biblical and balanced perspective here on Where Life Exists.